you are too young to be giving up on life. There is so many things in the world that you have to experience. Education is just one part of it. Please don't give up. You are valued, you are appreciated, and you have so much more to do in life. Please do not give up.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of SELINTalks, where we shine a spotlight on the change makers redefining education. I'm your host Shruti Verma, and today we have the incredible Amanda with us. Amanda isn't just an educator, she's a trailblazer transforming the very fabric of learning with her innovative approaches in the UAE. From leading a celebrated, gifted, and talented department to her dynamic role at EduStream, she's making education accessible and engaging for every student.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Very, very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being a part of SELINTalks podcast. I'm glad that you're here.
I'm very, very glad to be here.
So, before we dive into the more profound aspects of your work, I would really like to know if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it say and why?
So I'm a very big nerd, an extremely big nerd, and I grew up in the time Harry Potter came out, the books, the movies, the mania, and there's this line that Dumbledore uses, which I love. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to switch on the light, turn on the light. But yeah, so for me, I think that's a very profound saying because when we're talking about darkness, it sort of sneaks up on us, correct? And from time to time, you need to lean on people, and you might not get used to it or you might not like it, but they are there. Your people are there, and I think if you interpret it in such a way that light is there in everyone, it will illuminate from them to you, especially when you need it. So I think that is something that I would put on a billboard to remind people that, reach out to your people. They are there.
We all know that education is evolving a lot, and I'm curious to know what actually inspired you to be in the field of education and education sector, and what were the moments that actually shaped your career path as to where you are today?
Definitely. So uh, I was very lucky, I guess, from a young age because English was a subject that I had to do well in. The other subjects I obviously had to work very hard on, but if by mistake my mark, this thing percentile dropped from the higher grade to, the mid range, it was not a very nice experience to you. But I think because of that pressure on me from a very young age, I had to work very hard and do
Yeah.
a lot better than the previous papers. So I became very good at learning English and teaching English. So my brother was my first student, I would say, and that type of student, I think you know those students in class, right? The ones
Yeah.
who keep joking around and not being interested and being like,
Yeah.
my hand is hurting, I can't write, you write. I've done all of his homework. If any of his teachers see it in future, I'm very sorry, but the child did not want to write. And I did not want that mark on the book saying that your son has not done his homework again. So it started off in that direction, but then in grade 10 and grade 12, I think is when the turn happened. So I studied in IGCSE for grade 10. And
Okay.
IGCSE has got a lot of, where you have to learn through activities. It is
Yeah.
not rote learning. You don't rote learn and then you can't go vomit on it.
Yeah.
So English as a subject for them was very difficult because they had to use the information and create their own content, which was
Right.
difficult for them. So a lot of their uh, work that was submitted was written by me again. So I think that is where I started realizing that, okay, instead of writing for 16 people, 16 assignments, let me just get all of them together, make it sweet and to the point where they get to write it on their own, because everyone's got their own language, their own tone.
Yeah.
Like when we write, we already know that, okay, Shruti is sending me this message or Amanda is sending me this message. So everyone's got their own words and their own way of talking. So that is something that I learned at grade 10. Something that we learn in college, I learned in grade 10. And then in
Not
grade
even in
12,
college.
yes. So I think they did a lot better in their board exams. When our results were announced, they did a lot better than what the teacher had, predicted for them. So
That's
that gave me a lot of
amazing.
yes, it gave me a lot of confidence to be like, okay, you know what, maybe I can do this. But there was a lot of hesitance from my side because teaching is not for the weak. Teaching
Hmm.
is you have to be extremely strong to go through it, not just physically but mentally, and to have all of your beliefs shaken on a daily basis,
Yeah.
because no day in school is ever going to be the same. Grade 12 is when I figured out, okay, I'm actually a good teacher, because the classroom strength was small. We were just 12 of us in the arts
Hmm.
cohort, and for them English was a third language. It was not even a second language, it was a third language. So I managed to make sure all of them passed. That was my best, to make sure that everyone in my class passed in that exam, and I did that.
Wow.
So come to to college. I was in Jaipur, and the subjects that I could choose were between English honors and psychology honors. And
Mhm.
as much as I knew, if I took up psychology, I would, sorry, sociology, not psychology. If I took up sociology, I would have to end up going into, a stream where it's more like NGO based and
Yeah.
helping people. And that is something that I do want to do, but literature has been my love for a very, very long time. So stuck to what I love, took up English honors with psychology. And the third year of college, I was given an ultimatum by my parents that if I don't figure out a respectable career path, they would find somebody to get me married off to. So I was like, okay, I will find this answer. And my aunt had an opportunity of teaching in her school over here, grammar school. And I came here in 2015, right after college got over.
Wow.
So, yes. And that is when my teaching career actually took off. So, I did not have any official training as a teacher. I just had the knowledge of my subject
Hmm.
and my previous fractured teaching attempts. So
Yeah.
that happened. And then when I came to grammar is when I was given all the training. Like grammar school, I'm very, very grateful for the management to, put so much trust and so much faith and their efforts and their resources to make me the
Hmm.
teacher I turned out to be. I was trained to be an English teacher, and I took up humanities for the higher grades. So it was more like the middle school and the high school students. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever taught a classroom, but having kids in that age group, especially the high school, these are babies who are so tall. Okay, they're taller than me, they're bigger than me, but they're literally 5-year-olds, literally five
Yeah.
year olds, and they will throw temper tantrums that you just like, how do I calm you down? How do I focus, make you get back into class?
Yeah.
So grammar school was my start, and the reason grammar school is not just the beginning of my career, but it was like the first jewel on my crown, I would say. We have something called KHD inspections in UAE,
Okay.
and I was the only teacher in the whole school who got a good rating for her class.
Okay.
So I was
Wow.
and it was for my English class. It was for my English class, and it was with the boys. Now, when it was with the boys, I was genuinely scared. I was like, these people are not going to answer. If they're answering, they're going to create a ruckus. And I had to cajole them before the class. I was like, listen, just the way you normally behave with me, normally ask me questions, because
Hmm.
their questions are from the most intense questions to the most silly questions. There is no
Mhm.
in between. It's either silly or smart. So I was like, just ask. I don't care, just ask me questions and be normal. And that worked. So
Yeah.
when the inspector walked in, my class was in their own full thing. But as soon as he walks in, you know how it works, right? A new
Yeah.
person walking into the class, they just shut down. They don't want to interact with you. But I think I had given them enough confidence in themselves that they were like, okay, no, we got to ask questions and we got to be ourselves. And that was
Hmm.
amazing. And because of that, my principal, I think, saw that there was a management change in between.
Okay.
So the principal thought that I would be more better fit for special education rather than just subjects. So I moved to special ed for English. And
Very
for the
nice.
next 3 years, yes. So for the next 3 years, I taught all learning disabilities, all second language learners, all ESL learners, basically. And I learned a lot of programs. I learned differentiation in a more in-depth manner, because when you're learning special ed, it is not
Yeah.
just the ones who have learning disabilities or special needs students. We are talking about a whole spectrum over here. So
Yeah.
someone might have, issues with hearing or with stemming or with, touch, or they don't want to sit in that classroom because of, echo. So how do you help them? How do you make sure that you're getting them the resources that they need? Because in the end of the day, everyone wants to look at your mark sheet. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're special needs or you're normal or you're gifted. They just
But I think your experiences in all the institutions or the company that you're now working at, and the all of this, I think, has given exactly what you wanted at that time, don't you think?
Yes, it has. It has. It genuinely has. Because if I had not started in grammar, if I did not, get the training I had received from them, and the learning methods that I had learned from them, I would not have been able to go into the gifted team. And if I
Yeah.
had not built up my team from the ground up and, set up the whole department by myself with the support of my team
Hmm.
behind me, I would have not been able to understand differentiation, or, how do you cater to students' needs in such a in-depth manner.
Yeah.
Because again, all of this connects to each other. My knowledge as a teacher came in hand when I went to work in Sirasa, where I was an education consultant and I helped teachers understand, what was the need of getting educated further. Then it brought me
Hmm.
back over here where now I know what resources you require. If
Hmm.
this had not happened, there would be no flow. Correct.
Yeah.
So everything connected with each other quite beautifully, actually.
Yeah, quite beautifully, actually. I was about to say that exact thing. Things are changing fast. They are evolving. And I am glad that things are not, or in fact, just the education system is not what it was 10 years ago. But we have a long, long way to go.
We have
Just
a
in
long way
terms
to
of
go.
emotionally, intelligent, or even being aware of, being empathetic, actually. Just about that. We have a
I
long way
like
to
one
go.
thing. I like one thing that the Indian schools have been doing recently, and I think
Hmm.
it's been happening for the last 3 years. I think right
Yeah.
after COVID, or before COVID, schools was put out notices, especially the CBSE schools, that is exam season. You be kind to your child. How much the child can do, let them do. Support them. Don't break them down. Like the ones that I see in Kota right now, it is very
It's
disheartening,
very bad.
extremely disheartening. Like you want to be like, no, you're on the cusp of life. You've not even seen quarter of life yet. Please don't give up. It doesn't feel very nice.
I've been shattered by the news from past few months, and last 3 4 days were bad.
I
And
know.
it just becomes a news piece, and then it's done. I was having a conversation with our senior VP also the other day, and I told her, it's like, what is the point of what is the point of pressure and education if it's making you lose hope on your life and making you take
Exactly.
your life? Leave it.
Exactly.
Let your kids leave it. Who every person who has left their education has done something in life. They are not going
Exactly.
to die
Exactly.
hungry.
I'm not going to ask you if you were a topper, but I was not a topper. I was a perfectly
I was
average
not.
student. I was perfectly average. I did sports, I did drama, I did everything, and I was perfectly average in all of them. And I think that is what we should tell our kids. Enjoy yourself, explore stuff, do everything, but don't be like, oh no, I can't do this, and that is why I need to stop.
Yeah.
And this habit, I think you actually brought a very important point, what I've been thinking about for the past 2 months, because we've been running this competition, and I see that
Yeah.
children are not equipped to handle failure. And I think it
Exactly.
is not just our generation, the generation before us also did not handle it well. We did not handle it well. The
Yeah.
kids after us are not handling it well. Like,
It's basic neurological thing, right? Teenagers do not have their frontal cortex developed. They are indecisive. They are very they take
easily
decision
swayed,
quickly.
easily swayed.
Very, yes.
They're
It's
impulsive as,
neurological thing. It's
yes,
so
yes,
biologically proved also. And then you're forcing
yes,
that child to be the best. A
yes.
best ka, I don't know what is the level, but I really berate the this
The
kind of
whole concept
education.
of this is wrong. This whole concept is wrong.
Entirely
In
wrong.
that aspect, I was very lucky. I was extremely lucky to meet this professor called Dr. Remika Sangvi in my college. Okay. She told us on day one. She was like, I'm not looking for anyone to be extremely smart and get the highest score in this whole college or, top everything. I just want you to do one thing. Be perfectly average in everything. Do all the activities that you have over here. Live your life to the fullest. Make sure that you attend my classes. But you do perfectly average everywhere. You do exceptionally well in one thing else, that is all right. But make sure that you're, a part of everything.
Yeah.
And that made sure that I was a part of the college council as well. Because her words were there in my ears. She was like, try. What's the worst that can happen? Try. You fail, no problem. You'll try something else.
You get the
And
exposure, right? Instead of just
exactly.
fearing,
Exactly.
okay, what if?
That is the whole point of this, that they don't. Our teachers, like, say, I don't know if you had teachers like that. I had a few teachers like that when I was in. I told you I did sports, so sometimes you don't win, right? Sometimes you're just like half a centimeter away from the finish line, and that person's foot reaches before you, and you're like shattered, and you're on the ground, and you're throwing a temper tantrum worthy of 10 kids. But you have teachers who come up to you and you're like, you tried, you did this. Out of all the girls or out of all the students, you reached over there. So you having that one teacher to be like, fine, it's okay, get up. We have not, our generation, I think our fathers did it for us or our mothers did it for us, where they're like, okay, you fell down, fine. You cry for 5 minutes, but please get up. Because there's stuff to get done. But nowadays, no. Kids falling down, they're like falling down only. Nobody is there to pick them up and be like, okay, it's okay to fall.
Yeah. What is the point of this kind of competition? I don't understand. It's not
It
worth it. If
starts.
it's taking lives, it's not worth it.
It is not. It is definitely not.
Yeah. I'll so there is a very great example. I always remember the concept of pressure and area through that one example was whenever a person wear heels and standing on the sand, the heels might just go inside, right?
Yes.
And if an elephant stand on the sand, on a desert on a sand, that elephant is not sinking inside.
I
I
remember
saw
this.
I saw it happening, and that's when I actually realized that this is the thing. Same concept happened with the bag. Remember, our school bags used to be like strapped, they were big and they were heavy.
Horribly
And then
used and
suddenly
horribly
we moved
heavy.
to, yeah, and then we moved to college, and then we had to do all of those neon bags
Yes.
with thin,
Yes.
and
With
they
the
were
transparent
so
bag, it had to be
painful.
transparent.
Yes,
It had
and
to
they
be
were
transparent.
so painful. That's when I actually kind of, you
Surface
connect the
area
dots. But
matters.
but that took so long. I think now the kids that are going to be studied and taking the 21st century skills into a matter, they will be faster, 10 times,
Much
100 times
faster, much
faster. Yeah.
faster. And their access to technology also has increased, Shruti. Because if you look at us, what was our ICT classes? Going up and opening Word, opening Excel, opening,
I
creating your own
remember,
website,
yeah.
HTML. We learned
Yeah.
HTML. Have you used HTML? I have not used HTML.
Hmm.
But that was our IT classes. So that is again something that we have to think about. Now today, you don't need to write code from scratch unless you're getting
Yeah.
into coding. Look at the fact that so many coding, employees are losing their job on a regular basis, which is very sad. Because when you're learning so much, you want to get that position, but you're not sure of your future, correct?
Yeah.
But they are also adapting. The fact that
They're adapting, they're learning generative artificial
exactly,
intelligence. Yeah.
because there's so much more. Technology is a vast pool, and the kids of today have access to pretty much everything. And it is not
Yeah.
about, just what the price range is, because there are ample resources. Yes, it might be fractured learning in the beginning. It might, take time for it to, funnel out and become into a more linear way of learning, but it is happening. And if kids are, and these kids are brilliant. uh, as I told you, my company at the moment, EduStream, is running a competition, and the kids, they have come up with such beautiful robots. I could not believe it.
Wow.
So I wish I will share stuff with you, Shruti. You should have a look at it because, wow. Like there was this last competition that happened the Saturday before this, and we had the challenge that they have to make an opening and closing bridge. Okay.
Hmm.
So every other school did it like this. There was a school that went down. Would you be able to think of that? of doing it with
No.
the building blocks. Nor did we. Nor did we. We just were like, this can happen. This did not happen in any of the other competitions. This kid did it.
Wow.
So these kids, they already are better equipped to deal with today's learning. Case studies is one example, but real life applications is the more important aspect of it. In all of your case studies, if you see your cousin's work, right, none of them are, abstract concepts. These are theoretical concepts that are happening in life at the moment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not,
I,
yeah,
I
not what happened. Yeah, correct.
Yes. And there was this article that I came across a few days ago. So in Japan, they have this AI feature where they had to differentiate between 200 types of bun. And there was
Mm-hmm.
this professor who was just reading about it, and he realized that, buns, the makeup of it is the same like cells. It detects cancer now. Can you imagine pastry to cancer?
That is insane.
It is. So
That is insane.
technology right now is evolving in such a rapid pace that we have to learn through, experiences. It is not that, okay, I studied arts, so I'm only going to be learning literature or, psychology or history or geography. I have learned literature, but I am learning technology today. Tomorrow I might learn another subject. And that is the whole concept of experiential learning, right?
But yeah, I think I would really like to know that you did say that technology needs to be adapted by educators. What are few more things, or maybe top three things that educators of today really need to do? Because it's not just the kids who are going through the 21st century education. It's the teachers also, it's the educators, education leaders also, that they have to be
First,
upgraded.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
As I was saying, the one thing that, as an educator myself, the first
yeah.
thing, stop painting all your kids in the same color. They are not the same color. Differentiation is a must, is a must, is a must. If you do not know your kids' level, that is on you. It is always going to be on you, because outside people are not going to come and tell you this is my kid's level. You have to listen to me. You cannot listen to the parents. I'm not saying the parents don't have a right on it. They have every right of telling you, my kid, I believe my kid is doing at this level. Your
Yeah.
job is to make sure either the kid is matching that level or pushing that kid to reach that level. Our job as educators is that, to get out the potential. It is not to prove anyone wrong. It is not to say, oh, you know what, I cannot do this. You cannot say that as an educator. Differentiation does not happen in your classroom. You're not giving them the correct information. You're not giving them the correct support. The whole point of having differentiation in class is so that I know where I have to focus my energy, right? That brings me to my next point, analyzing your results. You got to keep updating yourself every month, every quarter, every half yearly, or every yearly. You got to do it for yourself, because your kids are dependent on you. So if they're not getting the strategies that you're using on a daily basis, there's no growth. Correct. You need
True.
to grow with them. And again, to bring up the IB case studies, you need to use real life applications in your classroom. And it doesn't matter if you're IB or IGCSE or CBSE or the American curriculum. Just start talking to kids like they have a working brain. Stop treating them like people who have no brains. We did not like it when we were kids, when we were spoken like babies, right? We did not like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We tell them that
Miniature adults.
yes, and I'm not saying go and traumatize them with an overload of information. They don't need to know everything. They don't need that. Be smart enough to know, okay, this is what I can tell the kid. This is how I will explain it to the kid. So when I was working as a special needs kid teacher, right, I had this kid who had immense behavior issues. Like, the kid has tried to set someone on fire, tried to throttle someone, tried to push someone off the window, push me down the stairs. All of that has happened. Then there was a conversation that I had with him, and I was like, can I just understand why are you doing all of this? And I had a proper normal conversation the way I would have had it with you. Be like, Shruti, why are you doing this to me? Right? And he gave me like a list of things. And in the end of that list, he was like, I feel like I'm not seen by anybody in the world. And I'm like, I'm seeing you. Most of the behavioral issues stem from the fact that they just don't have anyone to spend time with.
Yeah.
Right. So just that one conversation to happen, it took me 15-20 minutes. That's all. Just treat them like adult. Don't treat them like proper super adults, but just talk to them like a
Miniature
normal
adult.
human.
Yeah.
Yes. Just get to the point. Like, okay, I can do this. Okay, I can't do this. Simple and sweet. And they understand. They understand. They'll tell you that, oh, you're working. I know you're busy. I'll come back to you later. They'll actually come and do that.
They do understand. I think it gives a different kind of shift to any kind of relationship where there is an adult and a child, even if you're in family dynamics or you're in a classroom or um, even a workplace. Even if you know somebody is
Yes.
younger to you, you tend to decide that हमें ज़्यादा पता है, we know more, and the other person does not. So I think age,
This
yeah,
company, I have a colleague who I rely on completely, and he's younger than me. And I annoy the hell out of him, and I'm very sorry about it. But he knows so much more than I do. And I keep
yeah,
asking, because if you ask me, will you be able to grow? Correct. And the fact that, as I said, this new generation, bloody amazing. Like, if we had to ask our millennials, they'd give you attitude. They'd be like, you don't know this? Why do you not know this? And this dude is like super chill. He's like, okay, you don't know this. This is ABC. And he'll walk you through the whole step. And that is usually what you require, right? You need
yeah.
someone to just walk you through the step together. That's all that you require.
It is very important. I think having
Yes.
straightforward conversation, and we fail to kind of, I think it stems from a lot of things that we have seen, but people do understand exactly what you're telling them to.
Yes, yes, yes.
And even kids, I think kids understand, they understand
They
more than us.
understand it a lot better than
Yeah,
any of us ever will, because if we don't be clear in our concept with what we want from them, they are never going to tell you what they want from
yeah.
us. And that helps.
So as we are towards the end of the conversation, and I want to know some philosophy, your personal philosophies that has helped you grow as an educator and help you grow as a human being, and something that is actually, you're doing to make a difference to the society.
Hmm. I think the one thing that would be is kindness, because we forget to be kind to each other. It works in all three realms. You
Yes.
be kind to me, I be kind to you, and with kindness only we get to go ahead now. Because as an educator, as I said, I've had days where I might have taken out some class frustration on the other one and vice versa. And you need to be kind.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of kids. I've had the opportunity of working with kids from low income families and mid income families, and you don't know if that kid is having a good day or a bad day.
Yeah.
We tend to assume that kids have big emotions, but even if they're having big emotions, there's a reason for that emotion. So just be kind.
That is true. That's true. I think the point that I was about to make after you said, like we were having conversations about how to treat kids like miniature
Yes.
adults, but I think the very key thing is to be kind, and kindness is something that you see and learn. Again, you can't teach it.
Yes, you can't. You can't.
Yeah,
You have to teach yourself to be kind to yourself first, then only can you be kind to someone else. Because
yeah,
when we make mistakes, we are very hard on our own self. So if you just take a step back and be like, okay, I have to be nice to me,
yeah.
it helps you a lot
And
more.
I think it's true. It's very contagious. I think kindness is very contagious. But yeah, it takes some time for people to kind of accept it. The
Yeah.
person who's in front of me is not going to harm and things like that. But yeah,
Yes.
but so at the last, I would really like for you to give some kind of advice or anecdote or one thing that has helped you throughout your career, to all the educators who are going to watch this. So one message to
I
all of
would
them.
say keep trying. Don't give up. Keep trying. Keep searching for the answers. Knock on like 100 doors. You will at least get answered by 10 doors. So you don't know which door is going to open for you, and you don't know where you're going to go. So keep trying. It's very easy for us to be like, oh, it's hard. It's not going to work out. It's so and so and so. And everyone's got their own stories. Don't forget that. So just keep trying. You will get to your destination. It'll take maybe a few detours, but you'll get to where
Yeah.
you have to get to eventually on your own, with the
Yeah.
help of people, also if you require it.
We also have so we are going to speak to kids in Kota very soon, and we are going to reach out to
Yes.
them So if there is one message that you'd like to tell these kids so
You
that
are too
they,
young.
yeah.
You are too young to be giving up on life. There is so many things in the world that you have to experience. Education is just one part of it. Please don't give up. You are valued, you are appreciated, and you have so much more to do in life. Please do not give up. There's nothing that once you give up, it's the end. There's no afterwards. So please do not give up under any circumstance.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shruti. It has been a
Thank you
great
so
talk.
much for being our amazing guest. This was a conversation. This was a wholesome conversation filled with anecdotes, filled with education, filled with a lot of things. And I'm glad to have you today. It
Thank you.
was a pleasure.